The Coalition salvage vessel Pathfinder drifted silently through the asteroid field. Lieutenant Ta had been scanning the debris for 3 days when his sensors picked up an anomaly. "Captain Kyung, I found something," he called out, adjusting his scanner. A massive structure, approximately 2 kilometers in length. Captain Kyung moved to the viewport and squinted at the distant object. As they approached, the outline of an enormous warship emerged from the darkness. The vessel dwarfed their salvage ship, its hull marked with faded insignias of the long-vanished human fleet. "The registry identifies it as HSS Indomitable," whispered Ta. "A human supercarrier, thought to be destroyed in the last battle before their disappearance." The ship was preserved in a stasis field, floating untouched for over 3 centuries. Captain Kyung immediately contacted Coalition Command, who dispatched Commander Jun with a specialist team to investigate. Upon breaching the main airlock, the Coalition team discovered something unexpected. The preservation systems were still functioning. In the command center, a single stasis pod activated as they entered. The transparent cover slid open, revealing Captain Hannah of the human fleet, taking her first breath after 300 years of suspended animation. Commander Jun stepped back, his hand instinctively moving to his weapon. The other members of his team did the same. They had only seen humans in historical records. No one had encountered a living human in generations. Captain Hannah's eyes fluttered open. She coughed and tried to sit up. Her dark hair was cut short in the old human fleet style. Her skin was pale from centuries in stasis. She looked around the command center, her eyes widening at the sight of the Coalition team. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice raspy from disuse. "What species? I don't recognize your uniforms." Jun stepped forward cautiously. "I am Commander Jun of the Galactic Coalition. We found your ship drifting in space." Hannah's brow furrowed. "Coalition? What year is it?" "By old Earth calendar, it is year 2733, Jun replied. Hannah's face paled. 300 years, she whispered. "The stasis field worked better than we hoped." She tried to stand but stumbled. 2 of Jun's team moved to help her, but she waved them away. "The ship," she said urgently. "Is it intact?" Jun nodded. "Your vessel appears to be in remarkable condition. The stasis field preserved it perfectly." He paused. "Captain, humans have been absent from galactic affairs for centuries. We believe your species was extinct." Hannah managed a small smile. "Not extinct, just hiding." She moved shakily to a control panel and placed her palm on it. The ship's systems hummed to life around them. Lights brightened and dormant screens flickered on. "Identity confirmed. Captain Hannah, Human Fleet Command," announced a synthetic voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Welcome back, Captain. Current status: all systems in standby mode. Crew status: single occupant detected." "Thank you, ODN," Hannah replied. "Begin revival protocols for essential systems only." Jun watched in amazement as the ancient ship awakened around them. The technology was unlike anything in the current Coalition fleet, more advanced despite its age. "I must report this to Coalition Command," Jun said, turning to one of his officers. "Wait," Hannah said. "Before you tell your leaders about us, there are things you should know." Jun hesitated. "Us? You are alone here." "I am the only human currently awake," she corrected. "But I am not the last." She gestured to a large display that had come to life, showing a star chart. "Humanity didn't vanish. We retreated. And we've been watching." The ship's AI continued to bring systems online. In the background, maintenance drones activated and began moving through the ship's corridors, checking for damage or wear. "The Indomitable was not abandoned," Hannah explained, steadying herself against a console. "It was placed here deliberately, with me as its guardian. A sentinel, waiting for the right moment." "Waiting for what?" Jun asked. "For the truth to be revealed," she said, "about why humans really disappeared from the galaxy." A soft alarm sounded, and one of Jum's officers checked his device. "Commander, Coalition Command is sending a fleet to secure this vessel. They'll be here in 12 hours. June nodded, then turned back to Hana. "Captain, this ship is now under Coalition jurisdiction. You will be treated well, but you must understand that." He was interrupted by a low humming sound. Throughout the ship, weapon systems began to power up. The lights in the command center dimmed momentarily, then returned to full brightness. "I'm afraid that won't be possible, Commander," Hana said calmly. "The Indomitable doesn't recognize Coalition authority. Neither do I." On the main display, 12 small dots appeared, moving toward their position. The Coalition fleet, already on its way. "ODN," Hana called out. "Show me the Coalition fleet's capabilities." A detailed analysis appeared on screen, showing ship designs, weapon systems, and defensive capabilities. Hana studied them with a frown. 300 years, and this is all the progress they've made, she murmured. "Interesting." June watched her warily. "Captain Hana, I urge you to cooperate. The Coalition fleet is significant." Hana smiled. "Commander, this single ship was designed to face the combined fleets of 17 worlds. Your significant fleet is 12 vessels that my point defense systems could disable without deploying a single fighter." She pressed a series of commands, and the ship hummed more loudly. "But I didn't wait 300 years just to start another war. I'm here to finish the old one. Properly this time." Outside the massive vessel, the stasis field fully dissipated. The Indomitable's engines glowed with energy that had been conserved for centuries. Inside, thousands of automated systems came online, ready to be operated by a skeleton crew of one human and an artificial intelligence. The last human supercarrier had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Coalition Grand Council gathered in emergency session. Representatives from 17 species debated the implications of the human warship's discovery. "The humans were warmongers," insisted Councillor Rin, her voice echoing through the chamber. "This vessel must be dismantled immediately." Others disagreed. "This may be the last significant relic of human civilization," argued Councillor Wu. "There are ethical considerations." While the council deliberated, Commander Jun maintained watch over Captain Hana aboard the Indomitable. He observed as she quietly interfaced with the ship's systems and activated its artificial intelligence, designated ODN. "The Coalition didn't defeat us," Hana revealed to June during a private moment. "We were betrayed by those we thought were allies." She displayed ancient records showing a conspiracy within the early Coalition leadership. The Indomitable wasn't abandoned. It was hidden, preserved as insurance for humanity's return. The observation room on the Indomitable felt too small for the weight of her words. June stared at the records floating in holographic display between them. Documents, video footage, and communication logs from 3 centuries ago showed council members he had been taught to revere as planning the removal of humanity from the galactic stage. "This cannot be real," Jun said, his voice barely a whisper. "ODN," Hana called out. "Authentication protocols for historical archives." The ship's AI responded immediately. "All historical records are preserved with quantum encryption. Tampering is impossible without detection. These archives are certified authentic." Jun paced the room, his mind racing. "If what you show me is true, then the founding principles of the Coalition are based on lies." Hana nodded. "The 3 founding species feared us, not for what we had done, but for what we might become." On the main display, footage played of early human ships helping Coalition worlds. Humans providing medical aid during the Great Plague on Councillor Rin's homeworld. Humans sharing agricultural technology with Councillor Wu's people. "We were not perfect," Hana admitted, "but we were not the monsters your history portrays." Meanwhile, in the Grand Council chamber, the debate grew heated. "The human vessel has powered up weapons systems," announced the defense minister. "Our containment fleet reports they are being scanned by targeting sensors." Councillor Rin stood up. "This proves my point. The human is hostile. The human has made no aggressive moves." countered Counselor Wu. Our fleet approached with weapons hot. Of course, she activated defenses. Back on the Indomitable, alarms sounded as the Coalition fleet moved into formation around the massive carrier. "They're charging weapons," Odian reported. Hana sighed. 300 years, and nothing has changed. She turned to Jun. "Commander, I have no wish to harm your people, but I will defend this ship." Jun looked at the tactical display. 12 Coalition warships versus 1 ancient human carrier. The odds seemed overwhelming in the Coalition's favor, yet something in Hana's calm demeanor gave him pause. "What can one ship do against 12? He asked. Hana smiled faintly. "ODN. Display Indomitable's defensive capabilities. Authorization. Phoenix Protocol." The AI complied, and new information filled the screens. Point defense systems that could track and neutralize thousands of targets simultaneously. Shielding technology that operated on principles Jun had never seen before. Weapon systems that made the Coalition's best look primitive. "Those are theoretical technologies," Jun said in disbelief. "Our scientists say they're centuries away from practical application." "Your scientists are working from incomplete information," Hana replied. "Humanity achieved these breakthroughs before I was born." The ship shuddered slightly as the Coalition fleet launched a warning shot that dissipated harmlessly against the Indomitable shields. "Captain," Odian announced, "they are preparing a coordinated attack." Hana looked at Jun. "Last chance, Commander. Contact your council. Tell them attacking would be a mistake." Jun hesitated, torn between duty and the disturbing revelations he'd witnessed. Finally, he activated his communicator. "This is Commander Jun. Hold your fire. I repeat, hold your fire." "Your orders are overridden, Commander," came the reply. "Stand down." Hana shook her head. "I'm sorry it came to this." She turned to a control panel. "Odin, non-lethal response only. Disable their weapon systems." "Executing," the AI responded. Outside, the massive human carrier seemed to pulse with energy. A wave of precisely calibrated electromagnetic energy washed over the Coalition fleet. One by one, their weapon systems went offline. Engines sputtered and failed. Communications died. In the council chamber, screens went dark as contact with the fleet was lost. Panic spread through the representatives. "What's happening?" demanded Counselor Rin. A technician worked frantically at a console. "The fleet reports. All systems disabled. No casualties, but the ships are dead in space." "Impossible," whispered the defense minister. 12 warships neutralized in seconds. A new signal appeared on the main screen. Captain Hana's face looked out at the council, calm and resolute. "Members of the Coalition Grand Council," she began, 300 years ago, your predecessors conspired to remove humanity from the galaxy. They feared our technological progress. They feared our adaptability. They chose betrayal over partnership." She paused, letting her words sink in. "Your fleet is unharmed but disabled. I could have destroyed them, but that is not my purpose. The Indomitable was preserved not for revenge, but for truth." Behind her, Commander Jun stood silently, his presence a shocking statement to the council. One of their own, apparently siding with the human. "In 12 hours, Odian will begin broadcasting proof of the original betrayal to every world in Coalition space," Hana continued. "The people deserve to know the truth about their history." Counselor Wu stood up. "Captain Hana, what do you want from us?" "Justice," she replied simply. "Acknowledgement of past wrongs, and preparation for humanity's return." A murmur ran through the council at her last words. "Return." Counselor Rin echoed. "You speak as if there are more humans out there." Hana smiled. "Did you truly believe one ship and one human were all that remained of us? The Indomitable is not the last relic of humanity, Counselor. It is the first herald of our comeback." The transmission ended, leaving the council in stunned silence. The most powerful fleet in Coalition space floated helpless around a single human vessel, And somewhere out in the vastness of space, humanity waited, watching through the eyes of their sentinel. The ghosts of the past had returned, and they demanded to be heard. Coalition engineers were baffled by what they found aboard the Indomitable. Despite being 3 centuries old, its systems outclassed anything in the current Coalition fleet. Their point defense grid could neutralize our entire attack force before we got within firing range, reported Engineer Sung, visibly disturbed. And their quantum computing core operates on principles we've barely theorized. The Coalition High Command, growing concerned, dispatched a security fleet to ensure the human vessel remained under control. Captain Hannah responded by activating a fraction of the Indomitable's defensive systems, effortlessly jamming the weapons of 12 Coalition warships without firing a shot. Your most advanced vessels are using principles we considered obsolete before you even joined the stars, Hannah explained to a stunned Commander Jun. We never showed our true capabilities during the war. Engineer Sung moved carefully through the engine room of the Indomitable, his scanning device beeping steadily. 2 other Coalition engineers followed him, their eyes wide as they took in the massive machinery around them. Captain Hannah walked behind them, with Commander Jun at her side. This can't be right, Sung muttered, checking his scanner again. According to these readings, your power core is operating at only 2% capacity. Hannah nodded. That's correct. The Indomitable was designed to run for decades on minimal power if needed. But even at 2%, you're generating enough energy to power a small moon, Sung said. How is that possible? Gravitational compression, Hannah replied simply. Your scientists are still trying to harness fusion energy efficiently, correct? Sung nodded. We moved beyond that technology 400 years ago, she continued. This ship creates energy by compressing space-time itself. The engineers exchanged looks of disbelief. One of them whispered to another, that's theoretical physics. Nobody has made it work. Hannah smiled. Nobody, you know. They continued through the massive ship, passing automated repair drones that scurried along the walls and ceilings. The ship was slowly awakening after centuries of dormancy, systems coming online section by section. And this? Sung asked, pointing to a spherical chamber filled with swirling lights. Quantum navigation array, Hannah explained. It calculates faster than light jumps with perfect accuracy. Perfect? Jun questioned. Our best navigational computers have a margin of error of at least 0.002%, which is why you lose ships occasionally during jumps, Hannah noted. We don't. As they reached the weapons control center, alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. ODN's voice echoed from the walls. Captain, multiple Coalition vessels have entered the system. 27 warships approaching in attack formation. Hannah's expression hardened. It seems your high command hasn't learned its lesson, Commander. The group hurried to the bridge, where holographic displays showed the approaching Coalition fleet. These were not ordinary vessels. They were dreadnoughts, the most powerful ships in the Coalition arsenal. They've sent the 7th Fleet, Jun said, his voice tight. Those are planet killers. Hannah took her position in the command chair. ODN, full defensive protocols. Non-lethal response only. Acknowledged, Captain, the AI responded. Defensive systems online. Sung studied the tactical display with growing concern. Captain Hannah, you can't possibly hope to resist the 7th Fleet. Those ships carry enough firepower to reduce a planet to ash. Hannah remained calm. Engineer Sung, how much have you learned about our technology during your inspection? Enough to know it's beyond anything we have, Sung admitted. But 27 dreadnoughts. Watch and learn, Hannah said quietly. On the main screen, they could see the Coalition fleet approaching in a perfect attack formation. Suddenly, warning indicators flashed across Sung's scanner. They're activating weapons. Multiple targeting systems locked on us. Hannah nodded to ODN. Demonstrate our point defense capabilities. Target. Their weapon systems only. The Indomitable hummed with power as invisible energy cascaded from its hull. On the display, the Coalition fleet continued its approach for several seconds before chaos erupted. One by one, the massive dreadnoughts lost power to their weapons. Some began to drift off course as their engines sputtered. What did you do?" Sung asked in amazement. "Targeted electromagnetic pulse," Hannah explained. "Precisely calibrated to affect only their offensive systems while leaving life support intact." Commander June watched in silence as the mighty 7th Fleet drifted helplessly. "Your fleet just experienced what we call a soft kill," Hannah continued. "No lives lost, no ships destroyed, just neutralized." She stood and walked to June. 300 years ago, during the war, we could have done this at any time. But we held back, hoping for peace. "Why?" June asked. "If you had this technology, you could have won easily." "Because winning wasn't our goal," Hannah replied. "Cooperation was. We wanted to join the galactic community as equals, not conquerors." A new message appeared on the communications display. The Coalition High Command was requesting contact. "They want to talk now," Odian announced. Hannah smiled grimly. "Of course they do." She opened the channel, and the face of Fleet Admiral Jun appeared on screen. His expression was a mixture of anger and fear. "Captain Hannah," he began stiffly, "you have committed an act of war against the Coalition by disabling our vessels." "After your fleet approached with weapons locked on my ship," Hannah countered. "This was self-defense, Admiral." "Return control of our ships immediately," Jun demanded. "I will release your ships when you acknowledge the truth," Hannah replied calmly. "Humanity did not lose the war 300 years ago. We withdrew after discovering the plot against us." Jun's face paled slightly. "Those are historical matters, not relevant to." "They are entirely relevant," Hannah interrupted. "Odian has already begun broadcasting the evidence to every world in Coalition space. The truth is coming out, Admiral." Engineer Sung had been quietly scanning the ship's systems during this exchange. Now he looked up, his face showing shock. "Admiral," he cut in, "you need to understand something. This ship, it's not just powerful. It's beyond anything we can counter. And my scans indicate it's not even fully operational yet." "Explain," Jun ordered. "Their technology isn't just advanced. It's operating on principles we've barely theorized. Their power generation, weapons systems, computational abilities, they're centuries ahead of us, despite this ship being 300 years old." Jun was silent for a long moment. "What are your demands, Captain Hannah?" "I don't make demands, Admiral. I make one simple request. Acknowledge the historical truth and prepare for humanity's return to galactic affairs." "Return," Jun echoed. "You speak as if there are more humans." Hannah smiled. "The Indomitable was a messenger, Admiral. A test to see how the Coalition would respond after all this time." She paused. "We hoped for wisdom. Instead, you sent fleets." As if on cue, the ship's sensors detected something new. Far outside the system, at the very edge of their detection range, multiple objects emerged from hyperspace. They were too distant to identify, but their energy signatures were unmistakable. Ships, many ships. "It seems my people have grown impatient," Hannah said quietly. "The rest of the human fleet has arrived." On the bridge of the Indomitable, Coalition engineers and officers stared at the display in shocked silence. The technological gulf between them and humanity was not just wide. It was an unbridgeable chasm. And now, after 3 centuries of absence, humanity had returned to claim their place among the stars. News of the human supercarrier spread across Coalition space like wildfire. The smaller member species, particularly those who had maintained positive relations with humans before their disappearance, began questioning the official history. "We were told the humans retreated after military defeats," spoke Representative Du from the outer colonies. "But if their technology was this advanced, that narrative makes no sense." The truth emerged when Odian broadcast archived records to every Coalition world. The evidence was damning. Three dominant coalition species had engineered humanity's exile, fearing their rapid advancement. Protests erupted on dozens of worlds. Captain Hannah maintained her position of strength aboard the Indomitable, now joined by ships from dissenting coalition factions. "We don't seek revenge," she announced to the coalition leadership. "But the lies must end." On the colony world of Terrace, crowds gathered in the central plaza. Thousands of beings from different species stood together, watching the massive screens as ODIN's broadcast continued. The evidence was clear and undeniable. Recordings of secret meetings, signed orders, and conspiracy at the highest levels of the early coalition government. For 3 centuries, we've been told humans were dangerous warmongers who retreated after defeat, shouted a protest leader to the crowd. But they were betrayed by our own leaders. Similar scenes played out across coalition space. On the mining world of Burrell, workers laid down their tools and marched to government buildings. On the agricultural planet Sona, farmers and scientists alike crowded communication centers to receive the full broadcast. In the coalition capital, chaos reigned. The Grand Council was in permanent emergency session, but they could not agree on how to respond. The 3 dominant species, whose ancestors had orchestrated humanity's exile, faced accusations from the 14 other member species. "Your ancestors lie to ours," accused Representative Gill, his voice shaking with anger. "Our entire coalition is built on deception." Councillor Ryn stood firm amid the chaos. "These are ancient matters. What matters now is the threat this human vessel poses to our security." "The only threat is to your power," countered Councillor Wu. "Captain Hannah has had multiple opportunities to attack us. She has not fired a single shot." The debate was interrupted when an aide rushed into the chamber. "Representatives from 7 outer worlds have arrived," he announced. "They demand to be heard." The doors opened, and a delegation entered. They represented the smaller, newer members of the coalition, worlds that had joined long after humanity's disappearance. Their spokesperson, Representative Du, stepped forward. "We have reviewed the evidence," he stated firmly. "Our worlds will no longer recognize the authority of this council until proper restitution is made to humanity." Councillor Ryn rose from her seat. "This is treason." "No," Du replied calmly. "This is justice." Meanwhile, aboard the Indomitable, Captain Hannah received visitors of her own. Delegations from 6 coalition worlds had requested meetings. Commander June, now officially serving as liaison between Hannah and the coalition, escorted them to the ship's conference room. "They come seeking alliance," June informed her. "Their worlds were once friends to humanity." Hannah nodded, straightening her uniform. "Let's not keep them waiting." The conference room of the Indomitable was impressive. A large circular chamber with views of space through transparent sections of the hull. The delegates gasped as they entered, overwhelmed by both the technology and the presence of the human captain. "Welcome," Hannah greeted them. "I understand you wish to speak." A tall, slender being stepped forward. "I am Can, from the world of Burrell. Our ancestors benefited greatly from human medical technology before your departure." He bowed slightly. "We never believed the official story. Our historical records speak of humans as friends." Others nodded in agreement. One by one, they introduced themselves and their worlds. Each had stories of how humanity had helped them in the past. Each had questioned the official history, even before ODIN's revelations. "What do you want from us, Captain?" asked a representative from Sona. "Understanding," Hannah replied simply, "and the chance for humanity to return to galactic affairs without fear of further betrayal." The meeting was interrupted when ODIN spoke. "Captain, coalition military vessels are mobilizing. 3 fleets have been dispatched from central worlds." The delegates looked alarmed, but Hannah remained calm. "It seems some members of the coalition are slower to accept the truth than others," she said. "Please, return to your ships. What comes next may be unsettling." After the delegates departed, Hannah returned to the bridge. Commander June followed, his face tight with concern. 3 fleets, he said. They're desperate. They're afraid, Hannah corrected. Fear makes people do foolish things. She sat in her command chair and studied the tactical display. Odin, how many coalition ships have defected to our side? 23 vessels from outer worlds have taken position around the Indomitable, the AI reported. They've declared their support for humanity's cause. And the approaching fleets. 82 warships in total. Estimated time of arrival. 6 hours. Jun shook his head. Even with your technology, you can't fight 82 ships. Hannah smiled. I don't intend to fight them at all. She turned to a communications panel. It's time to show our full hand. ODN, signal the human fleet. Tell them it's time. Across coalition space, the political upheaval continued to grow. 7 more worlds officially broke from the coalition, declaring themselves independent until humanity was properly acknowledged. Trade routes were disrupted. Military units from outer worlds refused orders from Central Command. In the Grand Council chamber, a messenger rushed in with news that silenced even the loudest arguments. Multiple unknown vessels have been detected entering coalition space, he announced, his voice trembling. Thousands of them. They appear to be human. Silence fell over the chamber. Counselor Wu was the first to speak. Where are they headed? Everywhere, the messenger replied. They're spreading throughout coalition space. One particularly large group is headed directly for the capital. Counselor Rin sank back into her seat. How is this possible? Where have they been all this time? No one had an answer. Aboard the Indomitable, Hannah watched with satisfaction as the tactical display updated. Thousands of human ships were emerging from hidden bases throughout the galaxy. They moved with precision and purpose, taking position near major coalition worlds without firing a shot. Your people, there are so many, Jun said in awe. We never left the galaxy, Commander, Hannah explained. We simply went where the coalition couldn't find us. We built. We prepared. We waited. For revenge? Jun asked quietly. Hannah shook her head. For the right moment to correct a historical wrong. The largest human fleet, led by the massive carrier Phoenix, took position near the coalition capital. Their message was simple and broadcast on all frequencies. People of the coalition, we come not as conquerors, but as the wronged seeking justice. 3 centuries ago, we were betrayed by those who feared our progress. Today, we return to claim our rightful place among the stars. The time of lies is over. The time of truth has begun. In the Grand Council chamber, the representatives of 17 species faced the most significant crisis in coalition history. The political order built over centuries was crumbling in days. We must negotiate, Counselor Wu insisted, before it's too late. Counselor Rin finally nodded in agreement. Contact Captain Hannah. Tell her we are ready to acknowledge the truth. The political upheaval that had begun with one ancient ship had become a revolution that would reshape galactic society forever. The Indomitable hung in orbit above the coalition capital world, its presence a silent testament to power. Captain Hannah stood before the reformed coalition council, her uniform crisp despite its centuries in stasis. Humanity did not disappear, she stated calmly. We retreated to rebuild, to wait for the right moment to return. Using the Supercarrier as leverage, Hannah negotiated humanity's reintegration into galactic affairs. The coalition leadership, faced with evidence of their technological inferiority, had little choice but to agree. 3 weeks later, the Indomitable led a coalition diplomatic delegation through uncharted space to a system designated simply as New Terra. As they emerged from hyperspace, the coalition representatives gasped at the view through the observation deck. Dozens of human worlds orbited multiple stars, connected by vast infrastructure. Ships larger and more advanced than even the Indomitable moved between them in graceful formation. The final demonstration came as they approached the central human world. At Captain Hannah's signal, hundreds of massive human vessels decloaked around the delegation, an armada that could have conquered the coalition without significant resistance. We return not as conquerors, Hannah told the coalition representatives, but as equals who will never again be dismissed. The new balance of power would reshape galactic politics forever. The Great Hall of New Terra's orbital station gleamed with light reflected off polished surfaces. Coalition representatives from 17 species stood nervously as they waited for the human delegation. Many shifted uncomfortably in their formal attire. None had expected to find themselves here, in the heart of what appeared to be a vast human civilization that had existed unknown to them for centuries. The doors slid open silently. Captain Hannah entered first, followed by 12 humans in different uniforms representing various factions of their hidden society. Commander June noticed how the humans moved with quiet confidence. They showed neither arrogance nor fear, just the calm assurance of those who knew their position of strength. Representatives of the Galactic Coalition, Hannah began. Welcome to New Terra, capital of the Human Cooperative. Councillor Wu stepped forward. On behalf of the Coalition, we thank you for this opportunity to establish new relations with humanity. New relations built on truth this time, added another human, an older man with silver hair. I am Admiral Kang, commander of the Human Defense Fleet. The formal introductions continued, each human representing different aspects of their society. There was Director Jin of Scientific Development, Chancellor Park of Governance, and others whose titles suggested a complex and thriving civilization. How? Councillor Rin finally asked, unable to contain her curiosity any longer. How did you build all this without detection? Admiral Kang smiled. The same way we built the Indomitable and its sister ships, with technology your sensors couldn't detect. After the introductions, the delegates were led to a large observation deck. The view took their breath away. Below them stretched a massive world, clearly terraformed to human preferences. Cities gleamed across its surface. In orbit, massive construction facilities built ships and stations. Beyond this world, they could see other planets in the system, each showing signs of human habitation. This is just one system, explained Chancellor Park. We have established 17 major colony systems throughout this sector of space. 17 systems, gasped a coalition representative. How many humans are there? Currently, our population stands at just over 12 billion, Chancellor Park replied. We grow slowly but steadily. As the tour continued, the coalition delegates were shown technological marvels that left them speechless. Medical facilities that could cure diseases the coalition still struggled with. Energy production that operated at efficiencies they had thought theoretically impossible. Transportation systems that made their fastest ships seem primitive. Our ancestors chose isolation over conflict, Director Jin explained as they toured a research facility. When they discovered the plot to remove humanity from the coalition, they could have fought. Instead, they chose to retreat and build something better. Commander Jun, walking beside Captain Hana, asked the question that had been bothering him. Why return now? After 3 centuries, why not simply continue on your own? Because isolation was never meant to be permanent, Hana replied. It was a strategic retreat, not an abandonment of our place in the galaxy. Humans are explorers by nature. We need connection with other species. Later that day, the coalition delegates were brought to a large conference chamber for formal negotiations. The terms presented by humanity were surprisingly reasonable. They did not demand reparations for past wrongs. They did not insist on punishment for the descendants of those who had betrayed them. Instead, they asked for recognition as equals, for acknowledgement of historical wrongs, for guarantees that such betrayal would never happen again. You could demand much more, Counselor Wu noted. Your technological advantage is overwhelming. We did not develop this technology to conquer, Chancellor Park replied. We developed it to ensure our survival. As the negotiations proceeded, a message arrived for Captain Hana. She excused herself and stepped outside with Commander Jun. What is it? He asked, noting the concern on her face. A coalition military fleet has been detected approaching the edge of the system, she said, not the diplomatic vessels we authorized. June's face paled. That's impossible. The Council agreed to peaceful negotiations. It seems not everyone in the coalition respects the Council's decisions. Word of the approaching fleet spread quickly among the delegates. Panic began to set in among some of the coalition representatives. This will mean war, one exclaimed. If they attack here. Admiral Kang remained calm. There will be no war today, he stated firmly. He nodded to a communications officer who activated a large display. On the screen, they watched as the coalition fleet approached the outer boundary of the system. Suddenly, space itself seemed to ripple around them. Dozens, then hundreds of human defense vessels appeared, surrounding the coalition fleet completely. They had been there all along, invisible to sensors. Your fleet is being contacted now, Admiral Kang informed the shocked delegates. They are being advised to stand down. Within minutes, the coalition fleet reversed course and began to withdraw. No shots had been fired. No threats had been made. The simple display of overwhelming force had been enough. That could have ended very differently, Captain Hana said quietly. But it didn't, Commander June replied. Perhaps that's the first step toward true understanding between our peoples. The negotiations resumed, now with a deeper appreciation among the coalition delegates for the restraint humanity was showing. By the end of the day, a preliminary agreement was reached. Humanity would return to galactic affairs gradually. Technology would be shared selectively. Historical records would be corrected to reflect the truth. As the coalition delegation prepared to return home, Captain Hana stood with them on the observation deck one last time. The view of New Terra below them was spectacular as the sun rose over its eastern continents. 300 years ago, humanity faced a choice, she told them. Fight against betrayal or retreat to build strength. Our ancestors chose the harder path, patience over vengeance. And now, asked Counselor Wu. Now we choose cooperation over isolation, Hana replied. But this time, as equals who cannot be dismissed. As the Indomitable escorted the coalition ships back toward known space, the representatives aboard carried with them the knowledge that the galaxy had forever changed. The balance of power had shifted. Old lies had been exposed. New truths would take their place. Humanity had returned from exile, not seeking vengeance for past wrongs, but offering a second chance at the partnership that should have been. The galaxy would never be the same. The end.